So these two right here, these two players, mainly were a big reason for the greatest showcase, biggest game in WNBA history. And when I mean the biggest game, the most important game for the growth of this sport, the most important game for the growth of the WNBA, because we've all said it, like when anyone who was watching the LSU versus Iowa games even in 2023, regardless of that stuff, regardless of what happened the following year, like you can't lie, both of them have stepped up big time every single time they've played. They both have. And then obviously some other things took the shine, but yesterday was just about the basketball, which is incredible. But before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for 11.1k. It's absolutely incredible. That was our goal by today. If we could hit 11.2k, that would be incredible. So we're setting like weird small goals that we just seem to be just hitting every time. So thank you guys so much for all the support in the channel. Either way, we got to talk about these two players right here. And obviously, the WNBA has been a great league. When we're talking about pure rivalry, you're not going to see that much of an on-court rivalry between these two players. Just like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird didn't match up to each other. Just like these two aren't. We're seeing everything that people have wanted to see about women's basketball. It's about basketball in general. It was great yesterday. It was great. Like, even if you saw the tweet about Ric Flair, people are just being like, Ric Flair uniting the world. As someone who enjoys the NBA, King James, Michael Jordan, Will Chamberlain, Magic, etc., I'm sitting here enjoying the competition between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. I'm enjoying it just as the world is more than the NBA. I tweeted that in the finals and people were calling me crazy. Angel, you could be a supermodel, but you chose to play basketball. And Caitlin, the world is yours. You both are so special, as are all the women in WNBA. Congratulations for stealing the show, stealing my attention. I'm sure so many other people around the world's attention. So proud of you both and you all and all you women. Ric Flair, unite the damn world. If only the best. If he just tweeted out "woo" at the end of that tweet, it would have been might have been the Ric Flair thing. And I mean, look. Caitlin Clark at times flops like Ric Flair did as well, so it is what it is. But yeah, didn't have Ric Flair uniting the nation 2024. This deserves 50k likes. So well said. It's a friendly, fun competition. I wish more would see it that way. They're both kicking butt. And this was the first time where it just seemed like, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due to Angel Reese. This was the first matchup that she didn't buy into the, I want to pretend to be the villain. Because I don't think you can say anything negative about what Angel Reese did yesterday in the lead up to that game or on the floor. Because you're being like, oh yeah, she trash talks. Who cares? So does Caitlin Clark. But at the end of the day, there was none of this, oh, I'm the villain, screw you media, they're watching for me too. It was, I'm winning this game. I'm letting my game do the talking. I'm winning this game. I'm going and beating Alyssa Smith, and we're going to will our way back into this game, which was perfect. And then we saw Caitlin Clark putting on a masterclass in passing. An absolute show, hit 5 3-pointers, a couple of ISO plays. Like, if she wasn't frozen out in that fourth quarter, it was the 3 best quarters that she played all year. Well, to be fair, she didn't do much in, the 3 best quarters Caitlin Clark played all year. Up until the third quarter was Caitlin Clark's best game of the year, and it was one of Angel Reese's better games, and then Angel Reese took over the fourth quarter. It's just a pity that they're both playing on bad teams. Like, it is a pity. Like, the Chicago Sky aren't very good. Kennedy Carter's great, but they're not very good. And the Fever have an incompetent coach and a bit of talent with a team that doesn't fit together. But this was the perfect game because when everyone was watching the first time they played, it was an unbelievable game of basketball. LSU deserving winners. Like, people were like, oh, LSU didn't deserve that. Some people have argued, no, I watched the game. Let's stop rewriting history, regardless of some of the touch fouls. LSU deserved to win that game. But all anyone was talking about was that stuff. And I'm like, at the end of the day, who the hell cares? Who the hell cares? It became a non-basketball conversation. And then, obviously, Caitlin Clark's 40-point triple-double in the NCAA tournament was unbelievable, and it led her, it was her historic tournament run. Whereas it was all, in that tournament, it was all about Caitlin Clark. Whereas there was a bit about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese before that tournament run was all about Caitlin Clark. In the start of their WNBA careers, the two times the teams matched up, Angel Reese was fine. Wasn't brilliant. She was fine in the first 2 games. And then Kennedy Carter cheap shot, Angel Reese going up and celebrating that. And I don't think that happens. That didn't happen yesterday. Something like that doesn't happen. The hard hit by Angel Reese that I don't think was intentional, but still, the only person that knows whether it was or not was Angel Reese. And then Angel Reese coming out being like, oh, I guess people have a special whistle. The ref screwed us. And yesterday, like, yeah, you can, like, there were ref decisions that went bad both ways. Definitely the refs favoured the Fever, or favoured the Sky over the Fever, but at the end of the day, I don't think it really affected the outcome of the game that much. I think if you look back and be like, oh, this random foul in the third quarter, if it wasn't caused, it might have changed the game. No, like, you can't do that. You can do that. You could look into every game for that. You could argue every game's outcome would be changed then, but reality, the game was won by Angel Reese. Honestly, the game was won by Teresa Weatherspoon trusting her rookie who had been dominating to dominate in the fourth, and Christy Sides trusting the garbage Erica Wheeler in the fourth quarter. But nobody who watched that game came out of that game thinking anything other than, unless, of course, you are looking at this from a lens of we hate Caitlin Clark or we hate Angel Reese, which they're not basketball fans. They're really not. Like, the amount of people in some of my videos being like, oh, all these excuses for Caitlin Clark, her team lost. Like, yeah, her team lost. They're both of these teams suck. Both of these teams suck at the end of the day. And the fact that the biggest WNBA game of the year were two teams facing each other that sucked, the most enjoyable WNBA game for a lot of people because people were watching and they delivered. Both of these players delivered. Caitlin Clark hit her big shot. She didn't have 40, but she had a ridiculous passing game, an unbelievable game. And man, Angel Reese, I haven't seen Angel Reese dominate a game like that at all. Like, I know that there were games she scored more points in college, but I hadn't seen her just dominate like that. Like, because she didn't get that many touches. She didn't get that many shots. Every time she got the ball, it was like people were just like, oh, barbecue chicken, the Shaq meme. It's like, that's basically what it was. Every time she got the ball, she was like, I'm scoring on Alyssa Smith. Ironically enough, she didn't go at Katie Lou that much, who's like a 3, who isn't that great a post defender, but she's dominated on Alyssa Smith. But it's such a good big game for the WNBA because everyone who watched that game will watch that game thinking these two players are unbelievable. That these two are going to be carrying the league. The amount of like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird comparisons there are. And that's what it is. People are like, Juju's Jordan. Juju might well be Jordan. But this was the type of game the WNBA needed because the showcase games in a lot of situations have been talking about the negatives of the basketball game. They're being like, oh, they're targeting Caitlin Clark, yada, yada, yada. And then, oh, Caitlin Clark's a B word. She's just pretending she's getting hurt. And, oh, let's let Dave Portnoy not talk about sport of basketball. And if you're not talking about how great these two players were after that game, and yeah, Kennedy Carter was great. Kennedy Carter was really, really good. Aaliyah Boston was pretty decent yesterday. But the two best players on the floor by a mile were the two rookies who are both living up to their ends of the bargain. I'll still stand by this. Caitlin Clark right now is the better player. And she's the better player by quite a bit. Or by a little bit. No, it's noticeable who's better. But that being said, again, Angel Reese develops any sort of a shot outside the paint because of her quickness, her defense, her just instincts, her ability to get the ball. I have no doubt that these two are going to be two of the best players at their respective positions. I think Caitlin Clark, when it's all said and done, she might not have the longevity of Sue Bird, but she might have the highest peak of any guard in the WNBA ever. Whereas, like, I think Caitlin Clark's just I think she's almost an equivalent to a Sabrina Ionescu right now. So I think she's going to be a better version of Sabrina, who plays at a tempo no one can deal with. And you've got Angel Reese, who is the ultimate glue guy. Like, if she could potentially average 16 and 15 while guarding the other team's best, while guarding the other team's 4. She could probably average 16 and 15 while guarding the other team's 4 and do it on 11 shots a game. Like, that's what Angel Reese is the potential of. And ironically enough, as I've said it, these two being against each other helps for now. If Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, if these two want to really win long term, as much as, look, I don't know if they don't like each other personally, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. Look, I don't think Angel Reese particularly happy with the coverage Caitlin Clark's getting over her, and I don't necessarily think Caitlin Clark's probably the biggest fan of someone who jumped up and celebrated you getting blindsided. But at the end of the day, if these two ever teamed up, just the way their play styles are. If you replace Nalissa Smith with Angel Reese on the Fever are one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the WNBA. That is how highly I rate Angel Reese. And if you replaced Dana Evans or who starts, well, Allen starts the 1 for Chicago. If you replace Allen or Dana Evans, whoever starts the 1 for Chicago with Caitlin Clark, they're also a top 4 or 5 team in the WNBA. I think it's going to happen at some stage in their career, not anytime soon, and we're going to see it the first time probably at All-Star Weekend. Both of these players are All-Stars. I'm going to make another video about it later, but Team USA really should regret not just not picking Clark, not picking both of these.